Well, another good morning to you, Grenada. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you happen to be, here or there, or maybe on Pluto. Nice to see you this morning, folks. Uh, woo! Not even 30 seconds into the program, and we have a winner. We have a winner. Boy, let me tell you, she's probably going, yeah, I did it. Anthea Rello wins this morning, and she just noses out our, seems like a perennial winner, Hazel Ferguson. Well, Anthea, congratulations, young lady. Congratulations. Thank you very much for chiming in. Oh, yes, folks, it's a nice morning here in the Spice Isle. Feel totally invigorated after having half a bag of grapes this morning on the beach. Not too many people out there this morning, but still nice to see the old friends, the old regulars who show up constantly. And the water was just out of this world. My dear friends, let's get right down to brass tacks this morning. As you see there on your monitor, we only have 3 items planned this morning, but let me tell you, 3 busy items. First one, Grenada's media sinks deeper under threat. Yeah, remember a couple of weeks ago we had an incident where the media received a stern lecture from the Prime Minister's press secretary. Well, at this week's post-cabinet briefing, or actually just after the briefing, another incident occurred, and that's what's preoccupying social media this morning. So yeah, we're going to take a look at that. And this morning, rather than going from our opening segment into the national report, we're going to make way for Mr. Baczynski. Giddy-Yap, Allan. I guess he's got his makeup on and done his nails and had a pedicure and everything. Yeah, Allan's going to be joining us at, I would imagine, about 20 minutes after 9 o'clock or so. And after we get through with Allan, we will have the national report, okay? So that, my dear friends, is your lineup for this morning. Now, let's get down to the media, okay? I'm going to begin by playing you a clip from someone from Carriacou. I mean, this has just gone viral on social media in response to the incident where a reporter, the same one who asked the Prime Minister about his marital status a couple of weeks ago, was attempting to interrogate another minister. This time, I think it was the Minister of Tourism. And she wound up getting herself pushed to the ground. I don't know. I was not there. I did not see what happened. There are all sorts of stories because a lot of media was there, but apparently it's not come out. It has not even been aired in the news. Huh? Makes you ask some questions. But there's a gentleman by the name of Tevin Andrews who posted a piece on Facebook yesterday. I'm going to share that with you, and then I'm going to read to you a statement issued, or tweeted, I should say, by the reporter involved, Callistra Farrier. Let's start with a clip from Tevin Andrews.
Well. Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon now. Folks, I am hearing some sad and unfortunate news coming out of what we call post-cabinet briefing today. I mean, when I got this news, I'm asking myself, are we living in a banana republic? What is happening in Grenada? At the post-cabinet briefing today, after the journalists wrapped up, after the post-cabinet briefing came to an end, a journalist by the name of Callistra went to the Minister for Civil Aviation and Tourism to ask a question regarding some issues in her constituency, the constituency of St. Mark's. I think recently there was a chopping incident in St. Mark's. And Bulldog Senator Gawi decided to step in and telling the minister, don't answer that question. And in the process of doing that, he had allegedly shoved down a journalist, Callistra. The truth of the matter is that the journalist ended up on the ground crying and bawling out and screaming out with pain. And there's an audio that you can hear it. You can hear the journalist screaming out with pain. And you can hear the minister Gawi, Senator Gawi, Bulldog, Pitbull Gawi, saying, you evil, you lying, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, verbally attacking this journalist. So apparently he allegedly didn't just throw her down, but verbally attacking her. Friends, this is an assault not just on a female journalist, This is an assault on freedom of press in Grenada. This must concern every Grenadian home and abroad. It should also concern our regional brothers and sisters. This is a cause for concern. Is this what we get as a result of 15-0? That the press or members of the press can no longer ask questions. And if they ask questions or if they're not liked by government ministers and party loyalists, that they will be victimized, that they will be bullied, that they will be kicked and shoved down and verbally abused and attacked. This is concerning, sisters and brothers. What is happening to Grenada? And I could bet you $1 million, MTV, nor GBN, nor Mikey Live, none of them would bring this matter. I understand that this was taped. GBN has an audio, I understand, and I was told that they were ordered to destroy the tape. But I understand that there is an audio, so the audio speaks for itself. But it touches and concerns, and it should touch and concern every Grenadian, what is happening with our journalists in Grenada. I realize that a number of our journalists, they're eating a food, and they're concerned about bread and butter, so they don't really deal with the real issues at hand. They're free to ask some of the tough questions because what may happen to them and their livelihood. And you have a brave and bold journalist, Callistra Faria, that always asks the tough questions in post-cabinet briefings and elsewhere. And they have developed a dislike against her and towards her. And I believe that Pitbull Gawi had enough of the tough questions and enough of what is happening that he decided today was enough, and he did what he did. Grenadians, it is time to wake up. 15-0, you see what has happened. That is why it is so important to have an opposition in Parliament at all times. We cannot allow this to continue. As a matter of fact, I'm calling on the Prime Minister to take action with regards to Winston Gawi, because he attacked a female journalist who is now crying out of pain. She's in pain. I spoke to her personally. She's in pain. I spoke to her. So the Prime Minister ought to take a decisive action with regards to that. Take action, Prime Minister. Discipline Winston Gawi. I realize that this Prime Minister, he loves Winston and he loves Sheldon. Those are his pit bulls who will say and do anything for him. But we, the people of Grenada, you, the people of Grenada, Carriacou, Piti, Matlik, home and abroad, ought to send a call to the Prime Minister, to this administration, that we had enough. And it is time that he do something about it. Winston should be fired. Winston should not be going back to the ministry tomorrow. He should not. There should be mass protests all over Grenada. This is an attack not just on a female journalist, as I said, but an attack on freedom of the press. This NNP government is suppressing the press. They are suppressing anybody who speaks against them. We ought to understand that and know that. They don't care about you and I. They only want people to speak for them. You look at the post-cabinet briefing and you see those journalists, all of them, majority of them are sitting there asking questions that are softball questions. And the only journalist that had the balls to ask the tough questions, they see it fit to attack her. Today I stand in solidarity with Callistra. And I say to Callistra, hold the fort, my dear. Continue to ask the tough questions. Whether it is NNP in government, NDC in government, whoever, ask the tough questions. Because this country is not Kit Mitchell and NNP country. This country belongs to all of we. So I'm calling on Grenadians to open up all your eye. Take out the kakajay in all your eye. Take out the kakajay in all your eye and see what these people are doing. They're bringing this country, acting as though we are living in a dictatorship, one-party state. What is happening here, brothers and sisters? What is really happening here? They're tipping your money. They're tipping your money. They're attacking the press. They're doing all kind of things. Corruption after corruption scandal, and you sit there and you do and say nothing. And some of all you're saying, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving while the 1% continues to get fat and richer and you continue to get poorer and poorer. And you're saying, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving where? What sort of country are we leaving for the next generation? What sort of country are you leaving for me and my children? We had enough of this, sisters and brothers. Enough is enough. Callistra, I stand in solidarity with you, my dear. And you too, Grenadians, should stand in solidarity with Callistra. Winston, you should be fired and you should be ashamed. You call yourself a child of God. You call yourself a man of God. No man of God will ever do something like that. As a matter of fact, no real man will ever do something of that sort. So shame on you, Winston. You ought to be fired and fired now. Pack your bags and get out.
Okay, that was Mr. Tevin Andrew from Carriacou. Now, that's his version of things. Now, the journalist who was involved in this altercation, if you will, or whatever, Callistra Farrier, tweeted on her page. Let me quote for you. Dear friends and well-wishers, please note that while there was an incident on Tuesday morning at around 11:05 a.m. at the Ministerial Complex conference room, some of the information that has been circulated is not accurate. I am not associated with the information contained in a post which has been making the rounds and causing great worry for my well-being by hundreds who have seen it. The fact that the Post spoke of the revocation of a senatorial appointment should have alerted people that this was not accurate. The practice is to reward those who seek to deny my right to practice journalism, not to punish them. In fact, I gave 3 media interviews so far and addressed the issue on my morning program on Spice Capital Radio and made it clear that my injuries are not in the realm of a broken hip. The facts. Dr. Clarice Modeste Kerwin was in the process of responding to a question from me when she was interrupted and instructed not to answer. She appeared taken aback by the instruction and inquired as to whether the individual was sure he did not wish her to give a response, also giving assurances that she was prepared and capable of responding. The question pertained to a chopping incident in her parliamentary district of St. Mark, and I was seeking an answer from her as the Member of Parliament for the area, her primary function to the people. Dr. Modeste Kerwin continued to delay her exit from the room, appearing to want to offer a comment on this very serious incident in her constituency. She was ushered out the door, and the doorway was blocked to prevent my exit. I was pushed and fell to the floor. While on the floor, I was subjected to deranged utterings about devils. The incident was witnessed by members of the Media Workers Association of Grenada, their executive, the GIS staff, GBN reporters who had their cameras rolling, the parliamentary representative from St. Mark, and the parliamentary representative for Carriacou and Petite Martinique. While on the floor in pain, I continued to hold my recorder up to capture all that was being said. I was threatened with reprisals if I reported on the incident. No local media house reported the incident in their Tuesday news cycle. I want to thank everyone who called and messaged, expressing concern for the well-being of a tweet issued by Callistra Farrier. Okay? Now, I hope you're not waiting for a reaction to this from MWAG. After all, it took them more than a week to respond to the despicable comments made by the Prime Minister's press secretary a couple of weeks ago. I also invited MWAG to appear, hello, who's that? To appear on my Sunday program following the media statement they had issued. Okay, Mr. B, try and keep your tail quiet. Yes, so continuing here. I invited MWAG spokesman Delroy Lewison to appear on my Sunday program following the media statement which he had issued. He promised me that he would get back to me. I'm not waiting. I still haven't heard from him. Have you noticed also that MWAG's president is somebody who routinely sits in front of the cameras presenting the national report to you? You add things up. Arthur Langine is saying all hell is going on with the government. Let's see here. Donna Joseph is saying good morning, Gigi, and everyone on this great platform. Lawrence Kruthoff says, hi, George, good morning. I'm watching and listening here in London. What is going on in Grenada? John and Carriacou is having his usual dropouts. NDC all the way says, very sad. Anthea Rollo says, what is happening in Grenada? Why are the people so complacent? Why is there only a few people who are seeing the wrong? And Benedict Cador says, I think Tevin, the piece we played, the video we played a little while ago, I think Tevin should refrain from calling people names. He could get his message out without lowering his standards to calling people names. Absolutely, Benedict Cador. Absolutely. Two wrongs don't make a right. Arthur Langine says, this brother is on fire. John Kennison is also asking here, he says, isn't this man a preacher? Well, supposedly, John. I think that's the impression we were all under. All right, pilgrims, I'll tell you what, let's take a little break here, and Mr. Baczynski is getting ready. We're going to find out in just a wee bit why he's not hearing us, but we're going to sort that out in just a wee bit, and we'll come back.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grandans, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Good morning, Mr. Baczynski. Oops, Mr. Baczynski gone. All right, we'll just keep playing the commercial. There he is. Mr. B, can you hear me, sir? Mr. B is not hearing us, my goodness. You folks out there are hearing us, but Mr. B is not. I'm hearing him loud and clear. Well, let me try again. Mr. B, are you hearing us?
Okay, I hear you now.
Okay, just let me finish this block of commercials, sir, and we'll get right to you.
Okay.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Coop Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair Supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
All righty, there he is now, there he is. Before I get to Allan, Tessa has a comment here saying, I was hoping someone can speak to the incident with a reporter and the minister, since I'm not seeing it in the mainstream media. That's one of the things, well, Tessa, you saw that we just tackled the matter, but that's one of the issues that's been raised a lot on social media. the media has just gone absolutely silent. Think about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when they first shut down Chime. Remember that? Not a word came from the media. But we had external sources who took up the matter. Good morning, Mr. Brzezinski. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I was listening to your reading of Callistra's post, and when it got to MWAG is when the sound went off. So I missed what you had to say about that, and then there seemed to have been some interruption in the connection. Anyway,
Yeah.
so sound is good, tape is good. We're ready to go.
You're ready to go, man. Just rock and roll. You're ready to go, AB. Nice color shirt you have on there, by the way.
Lime green.
Yeah, man.
So, I have just this morning become aware of the difficulties with which returning residents are faced. About half mile up the road from me is the residence of a Grenadian who I believe has been abroad for some time. And we have very efficient rubbish collection in this area, Tuesdays and Thursdays. The idea is that Thursday, I suppose, goes from just after midnight until just before midnight. It's 24 hours for Thursday. But nevertheless, I have become accustomed to ensuring that the rubbish is put out for collection minutes before 6 a.m. because you can generally expect that if the vehicles are working, that they will pass by maybe about 10 to 6, 5 to 6. When the vehicles are not working so well, it could be as late as 4 or 5 in the afternoon. But I can't remember a time when they have not had a Thursday or a Tuesday pickup.
Stick a pin, AB.
Good morning.
Stick a pin, AB. You're boasting about your 2-day-a-week pickup. Let me tell you, man, you know where I live. These guys are here every day of the week. And you can almost set your watch by them, man. 7 o'clock.
Well, you're showing off, because you see what I'm getting at is the difficulty faced by our returning residents, people who have lived abroad and presumably are used to things happening according to a fixed timetable. So I know that the truck passed about 10 to 6 this morning because I had to run out to catch them,
Okay.
which I managed to do. It went down the road, which is fine. And then it came back up the road about 20 minutes later, which is fine also. And I was walking about half mile up the road when I saw the returning resident now putting out her garbage. So I said to her, "Madam, the truck, he passed down and he passed back up. So really, I think you miss it." She says to me, "Yes, it's really so hot these days, isn't it?" I say, "Madam, the truck don't coming back, you know." "Oh, this weather." So that is when I realized that you cannot judge a book by its cover. One of two things occurred to me. In her haste to put out the garbage, she may have omitted to insert her hearing aids. Alternatively, she hasn't been back long enough to understand Grenadian. Because I thought I was being very clear. The truck passed down already, he passed back, and madam, the truck don't coming back, you know.
It's that accent of yours, sir. It's that accent. Your dialect.
So I am just hoping that she does not leave her rubbish out there for the rest of the day in the hope that it will be collected, because it won't. Now, with regard to the media, you and I have been informed since this altercation apparently happened on Tuesday. And I take my fast self. I know there's cricket on one news station, and then the other one, the MTV one, I checked to see. And to my amazement, nothing. That was Tuesday, nothing Wednesday. And then, well, you've read the statement that Callistra finally put out. But what I found interesting there is that she has stated that there appear to have been warnings given regarding the dissemination of the information as to what transpired. Now, I have little confidence that MWAG will do anything at all. But one would hope that since this is out there, and I have done my bit in sending it to St. Lucia, Callistra's statement that is, because presumably that one will be more accurate than some of the other stuff floating around on social media.
Yeah.
But I am hoping that within the region, people will take note that media practitioners in Grenada are engaged in self-censorship, and that when they attend any regional conferences, that they should be upbraided, that they should be laughed at, and they should be told in no uncertain terms that they do a disservice to the profession. They are a disgrace. Contrast the furor that took place when a certain media outfit was taken along to cover what, in my view, was a provocation at the offices of the Carnival Committee, when the cameras were rolling from start to finish. This was not news. This was them going to cover a provocation, in my view. But yet, they were there at a post-cabinet briefing. I presume more than one entity there had cameras. I expect the Government Information Service had cameras rolling. I expect that the Grenada Broadcasting Network had cameras rolling. And there were people there who heard and saw what went on. No, this follows an incident, I think it was last week, when the US ambassador was visiting and certain questions regarding citizenship and passports were put to the US ambassador. And I think it was Sarah Sanders who tried to intervene along the lines of the ambassador, not here to talk about that. And the ambassador said, I certainly want to talk about it because we have concerns. Now, whether it is, was it last week or week before? I don't recall. But nevertheless, the following week, here you have not just Sarah Sanders, but the man in charge trying to deflect journalists' questions from the parliamentary representative. And according to the report, the parliamentary representative was clearly in a position to respond and perhaps wanted to respond.
Yeah.
Because naturally, I mean, I have known the parliamentary representative for many years. I've always found her to be very approachable and quite open. So I don't think she wanted to hide anything. But you had this mongoose who intervened. Now, I say mongoose for a very good reason. If you're old enough to remember what actually used to take place in those days, prior to the coup d'etat, Uncle had a number of strong supporters who were collectively known as the Mongoose Gang. They were vilified by many people in opposition. But in fact, they did from time to time behave themselves in a very bad way. And, well, this is what happens. Violence begets violence. And so we know what happens when you surround yourself with mongoose. Now, all along, I thought we had a man of God, but he turns out to be no different from the members of the mongoose gang. So he engaged in, presumably, he has misunderstood what his role as Minister of Information is. So I had some other names for him, but I am now going to call him Mongoose, because that is the way he is behaving. Not the four-legged mongoose, because I know there are many of the people outside there who will not find me being sufficiently Christian-like or Christianly charitable. But I don't really care, because if he behaves like a member of the mongoose gang, then that is the appellation that will be given to him by me. So, in addition to pastor, doctor, senator, I can now call him mongoose, because that is the way he is behaving. Now, he also, I'm beginning to question his credentials, because I had to do some research. From Callistra's report, you see that she heard certain utterings regarding the devil. So I was forced to do some research as to how do you rebuke or cause the devil to be rebuked. Now, to start with, you have to be of the level of intelligence which allows you to accept that there is demonic possession. I am not as intelligent as those people who believe in demonic possession. I say that from the start because I haven't done enough research into it. But if this individual is so qualified as to identify demonic possession and to know that Callistra is possessed by the devil, then he likewise ought to have studied long and hard enough before he got his PhD to know that, as I have discovered, it is not within his authority to rebuke the devil in Callistra. He has to invoke the power of the Son of God. The rebuking can only take place through the grace and power and authority of the Lord Jesus, whose name must be invoked in all instances of rebuking of the devil and those who are possessed thereof. Apart from my own research, I've had it confirmed. I saw another correspondent on your forum confirm that, in fact, the proper way to rebuke is only through the holy name of the Lord Jesus. So this mongoose clearly is not qualified, in my view, to hold his PhD. And I'm wondering now, where did he get it? I am also wondering, since the validity of his qualifications are in question, I am wondering whether or not the other things that he claims to be able to do, such as manage disasters, I'm extremely concerned, because I'm beginning to think that he is the disaster that needs to be managed. And I want to recommend to the National Disaster Management Agency that they look very closely at him and draw a line around him out of which he should not step, because he clearly needs management. He is not going to get it from the presiding officer in the Senate. He clearly is not going to get it from the members of the political party in which I presume he is a paid-up member. And I don't suppose he will get it if he still has a congregation. Now, the issue now is, if you have a mongoose, you must have a commander, because the mongoose don't operate just by themselves. they have to be fed, and they have to be directed as to where they should make their attacks. And it occurred to me that if you have a mongoose, and if there's more than one, you then have a mongoose gang. And if you have a gang of mongoose, then you need to have a commander. But the commander must in turn report to the supreme boss. Now, I think we have an opportunity here that if we go back up, if we follow the trail of the mongoose and the mongoose gang and the commander, the man in charge, I think, is the night commander of the mongoose gang. That is the proper appellation, and the letters following the name are KCMG, Night Commander of the Mongoose Gang. And if you find out who is the night commander of that particular mongoose, you get 3 letters, KCM, are done.
All right, Mr. Bashir. I have to catch my breath here. Yes, I really have to catch my breath. Mr. B, I'm going to reserve my comments for the time being because there are so many here. I just have to share them with you, sir. Claude Putner says, yes, sir, you are so right. He's a mongoose. Andrea St. Mitch is rolling on the floor laughing. Margaret Francis says, Allan, that PhD is an honorary one from some kind of questionable place in the United States. According to him, the organization was tracking his activities in Grenada over the years, and as a result, decided to come to Grenada and confer that honorary doctorate. I rest my case. Okay, I'm not even halfway through yet, Allan. Hang in there. Carla Clemens says, you're so funny, Mr. B. John says, Aby, George almost spat out his drink. Kipling says, do not blame the pastor. How about the people who are behind, who are too blind and dumb to know he's just a power-hungry fake? He was, he is, and will always be a fake. Sherry Wilson says, speak it out loud, Aby. Renewed Purpose says, Mr. Buzinski, you should see how they spell your name here, Buzinski. Sherry, that's just as good. I'm sure he'll accept that. Sherry says, Mr. Buzinski, I think you have an authentic PhD. All right, let me try. Let me try. Anthea, okay, hold on. Benedict Cador says, speak it, Brother A.B. Anthea says, Mr. B, your sermon is right on point. I hope the mongoose is listening. Pele Darbo says, Allan, is that mongoose a reincarnation of Pram or Willie? Please protect your family jewels. It might end up in the hands of the mongoose hands again. I guess that's a private joke between you two guys, eh?
No. It's actually in public. You can find it in the report of the Duckfuss Commission of Inquiry into the Breakdown of Law and Order in Grenada, 1974.
All right. He goes on to say, Beelzebub in full effect. That's Bailey. John says, A.B., Mugabe had the same sort of gang. His veterans. Arthur Langine says, I remember those days, Brother A.B. Talking about the days of the Mongoose Gang. Sharon Roberts says, MWAG and the majority of the Grenada media have been sold lock, stock, and barrel. Mongoose is correct. He is rabid. Yeah. Good morning, Brother A.B. It's always a pleasure hearing and seeing you, says Arthur. And John says, a passing relationship with the truth. All right. Okay, I think that's it on this particular issue. My God. You stirred up a hornet's nest there this morning. And, something you mentioned earlier on was you were surprised at the fact that the media had not come out and spoken about this. And as I mentioned earlier on, I mean, I'm really not surprised because when they shut me down, the media didn't come out. However, I try to be a gentleman, and when the PM's press secretary decided to attack the media, I came out in their defense. I know that there are people who are going to be waiting to see whether there's going to be a subsequent release coming from the Media Workers Association, but like you indicated earlier on, you're not going to hold your breath, are you? No.
Definitely not.
And I invited MWAG. I spoke to Mr. Lewison, and I invited him to appear on my program, but and I have a witness to that, but he hasn't come back to me. Renewed purpose.
Is he the president or the vice president?
Well, I see now that he is acting president. The release was signed by Delroy Lewison, acting president. And I wondered how this came about, because the president, as both you and I know, is Sherry Ann Well. Okay? So I don't know if it's because she is so closely affiliated with the GIS that he was given the unfortunate assignment of having to come up with a response. Renewed Purpose says, Mr. Aby, why aren't you a senator or advisor to the PM? There are too many imposters and inefficient people working at media houses and government. Let me hear you answer that one.
I have no answer.
That takes care of that, Renewed Purpose. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Okay, Mr. B. You've been exciting as always. I think I already got to run this on Sunday. I really have to run this on Sunday morning. Thank you very much, sir. Go do whatever it is you have to do, and keep spreading the word about garbage collection times.
Yeah.
And if anybody needs their hearing aids repaired, try and find them a proper fix-it person. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah?
All right.
Take care, man.
Bye.
Okay. There he goes, pilgrims. AB. One of a kind. Break time, pilgrims. Break time. And if I survive that break, we'll come back with your national report.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
We are honored to partner with the Grenada Schools, Inc., the Ministry of Education, and the Caliste Government School in providing this library. GCPI program put $120,000 or 66% of the cost of the library. But it's not an investment that is intended to bring a financial return. It is an investment in the human capital of our youth in Grenada.
GrenLec has shown us their seriousness about partnership, their seriousness about education, and their seriousness about nation building. That local partnership tells our major donors that Grenada is interested.
we have got a big vision at Grenada Schools. We believe that what we can do is, through literacy, have the most literate country in the Caribbean. We are very happy that you've got this gift from ourselves and from GRENLEC.
We see this library as a unique and valuable resource. One of the best things about receiving this library is that it honors and recognizes the efforts and contributions of a company like GRENLEC and Grenada Schools Incorporated.
Since 1994, GRENLEC shareholders have invested over $22 million. This has been invested in the communities throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. We hope this library will serve the students and school well for many years to come.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who's supporting the environment. That's why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
All right, just before I get to the NIS report, that can wait for just a minute, but just before I get to them, there was a comment I read a little while ago from Renewed Purpose, who said to Allan, why aren't you a senator or advisor to the PM? To which John responded by saying, advisor to the PM? You don't listen to no one. That ain't all. Hold on a sec. Hold on here. Kellen Bubb then posted a comment which says, George, I am extremely disturbed by the developments in Grenada with respect to the state of the media. I trained under the late, great Leslie Pear, and he was intrepid and courageous, regardless of his relationship with the people in power. As someone who worked in the local media, in the local Grenadian media many years ago, I can't remember a time when journalists were ostensibly afraid to ask the tough questions and to report on the issues in an impartial manner. Kipling Francis says, how can you advise someone who doesn't take advice, who thinks he knows it all and doesn't know that he doesn't know? Amen, Kipling. Sharon responds to Kellen here by saying, Kellen, you will not recognize this present-day media in Grenada. They cannot see the light as they are living in the pocket of NNP. Be specific, Sharon. Some of them, I do they. That's why I catch in Mariah. John Bruno says, sorry, Cullen, it's happening today. And Margaret says, those days are long gone. Pilgrims, here comes your national report.
Grenada hosts training in anti-money laundering processes for stakeholders ahead of upcoming mutual evaluation review. Details to this story and more in the national report. the details to the news for Wednesday, September 11th. I am Leslie Ann Johnson. Stakeholders in the public and private sectors are this week receiving training in anti-money laundering and countering terrorist financing processes in preparation for Grenada's mutual evaluation review next year. The 3-day training is intended to foster greater understanding of the technical issues associated with the mutual evaluation, as well as to develop a structure to adequately facilitate the on-site peer review. The evaluation itself, scheduled for June 2020, will determine Grenada's technical and legislative compliance and effectiveness with the FATF's 40 recommendations, which focus on anti-money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism, and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Delivering remarks on day one of the training session on Wednesday, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance and National Security, Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, said Grenada is committed to ensuring adherence to international standards to combat money laundering and terrorist financing.
Throughout the years, Grenada has made significant strides in ensuring that the legislative regime is robust, current and in keeping with international standards, and serves adequately as a primary tool in the fight against these crimes.
The Prime Minister cited the passage of various pieces of legislation as also being indicative of government's commitment to anti-money laundering. He spoke too of the recent establishment of the operational component of the AML-CTF Commission, facilitating the execution of some functions such as inspections. Dr. Mitchell applauded the efforts of the lead agencies and stakeholders for their ongoing role in anti-money laundering initiatives and protecting the reputation of the country.
I thank you all on behalf of the government and people of Grenada for your valuable contribution to protecting the reputation of this country. The country's reputation is enhanced, your businesses are also enhanced. We say thank you also to the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force for the technical support provided over the years. We could not be here where we are today without your valuable support. We also continue to demonstrate our commitment to regional and international initiatives spearheaded by the CFATF. And we continuously honor our financial commitment by way of annual subvention to this organization.
The Prime Minister and Minister for National Security singled out the Royal Grenada Police Force for its strong adherence to laws, policies and procedures that protect the country against criminal elements. He also recognized the critical technical support provided by the CFATF over the years and gave assurances of Grenada's ongoing commitment to the agency. The AML-CTF pre-assessment training is organized by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, the CFATF, in collaboration with the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating Terrorist Financing Commission. The 3-day training is funded by the 11th European Development Fund. Chairman of the Anti-Money Laundering Commission, Attorney General Darshan Ramdani, says Grenada is ensuring that the legislative framework is in place to satisfy all requirements and commitments under the Financial Action Task Force. He was addressing a 3-day training in anti-money laundering processes for stakeholders at the National Stadium on Wednesday.
We are in the process. Mr. Peer has met with me several times. Well, we've had discussions several times, and he's met with me in relation to a number of amendments which are being considered in relation to the legislative framework that we have here in Grenada. And I understand some submissions are being prepared eventually that will be taken to Cabinet for approval for crucial amendments to be made so that we can satisfy our international obligations under the FATF.
One of the facilitators, Hector Salinas of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force Secretariat, says the objective of the pre-assessment training is to demonstrate how the process will be executed in Grenada.
The objective of these evaluations is to try to, is about two things practically. It is about to diagnose and about improvement. So what do we mean by diagnosing, or what I mean by diagnosing? Well, the assessments or mutual evaluations are aimed at highlighting risks. That is, what are the areas where you have most problems? What are your threats? What are your vulnerabilities? And which are the greatest ones? The evaluation is going to identify those areas in which you have greater risks. Besides, the evaluation as a diagnose is going to tell you what are the areas in which you have the biggest problems. So we can make policymakers recommendations about how to improve, how to strengthen your system.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Prepare for hurricane. Prepare for hurricane. Make sure you have your radio and your batteries too. Waterproof flashlight candles will do. Tin stuff, garbage bag, first aid kit. Come on, people, make sure you have it. Clean water in a container and a hurricane plan. Hear me, no man.
Hurricane damage is beyond your control. Surviving the aftermath is up to you. Have a hurricane plan. It can save your life and your family too.
Prepare for hurricane. Your hair, prepare for hurricane.
Continuing the news, the contractor hired to remodel the Clico building on Young Street to house the civil and criminal courts says they are pressing ahead to ensure the work is completed in time for the September 21st deadline. Mr. Sheldon Frederick, project manager of Sunrise Construction, says work on the first floor is about 95% complete.
About 90% of the painting finish. We have to do some installation of the doors and stuff. So basically in my view, we are about 95% complete on the first floor, basically. So yeah, that's about it. And after the initial process is finished in terms of the structural part of it, then we have to just install some of the furnitures and some of the things just to make it complete.
The first floor will house the 2 civil courts, judges' chambers, and a public waiting area. The upper floor will house 2 criminal courts, judges' chambers, and jury rooms. The building will also have a witness room and holding cells. Legal Affairs Minister, the Honourable Kendra Maturin-Stewart, is happy with the pace of work. She provided an update on the progress of work during Tuesday's post-cabinet briefing.
During that site visit, some changes were proposed, some amendments were made to the initial layout and designs. Yesterday, again, along with myself and Minister Garvey, we met and we visited the site again and to get a further update as to where we are, bearing in mind the timeline that we are in fact working with. I must say that I am indeed very pleased and happy with the pace of progress that has been taking place at that particular space. One of the floor is almost complete, and I'm advised that about 80 to 85% of the work needed to be done there is almost complete. As indicated, once there is a change to the stated timeline that we would have provided to you previously, that will be so communicated.
As part of the Ministry of Trade's mandate, fisherfolk and boat owners from parishes island-wide are benefiting from the Fishermen and Boat Owners Workshop. The workshop, which began on Wednesday, targeted those from St. George's, embracing areas like small business development, management skills, entrepreneurship, and financial record keeping. The workshop was organized by the Ministry of Trade, Cooperatives and CARICOM Affairs, partnering with the Grenada Investment Development Corporation, GIDC. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Mr. Aaron Francois, says participants will be taught best practices that should be applied to effectively run a small business in the fisheries sector.
The fisheries sector, as I said, is well known. You know, where I sit from my office, I see the many trawlers and so on out on the canals there. And I know a lot of those guys and them are making money. This workshop today is to help you, yes, to get some of the skills to help you to better manage your business, to better manage your resources, to make better decisions concerning expenditure, income, if you want to pursue loans, how to make good decisions when it comes to that, how to run your business profitably.
Mr. Orlando Harvey, Marine Protected Area Biologist, says while the fishing industry is profitable, there have been some obstacles to greater profitability.
The fisheries sector continues to be one of the most lucrative industries and subsectors here in Grenada. However, the general lack of management of those resources that have been generated from the sector has prevented the sector from shining in the way it should have. And this is primarily because a lot of the boat owners and fishers don't look at what they do, their fishing operations, as a full-fledged business in the way it actually is. So the time has come for us now to change those perceptions in the mind of the fishing community and the general public, and try to make the fishing industry and fishing, the general fishing, into the businesses that they actually are.
And that's the National Report. I'm Leslie Ann Johnson.
Naughty, 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 naughty. Georgie Porgy has gone 6 minutes over time again. Terribly sorry about that, my dear friends. But we're going to pull the curtain right now, pull the curtain down right now with a parting word from the Holy Scriptures. Psalm 38, verses 15 to 22. Lord, I wait for you. You will answer, Lord my God. For I said, do not let them gloat or exalt themselves over me when my feet slip. For I am about to fall, and my pain is ever with me. I confess my iniquity. I am troubled by my sin. Many have become my enemies without cause. Those who hate me without reason are numerous. Those who repay my good with evil lodge accusations against me, though I seek only to do what is good. Lord, do not forsake me. Do not be far from me, my God. Come quickly to help me, my Lord and my Savior. That's a reading from the book of Psalms, Psalm 38, 15 to 22. Quick glance here. Okay, I think that's going to pull the curtain down for the Thursday edition of Gudday Grenada. My folks, up to the time I came in here this morning at about 5 minutes before 9 o'clock, it was a beautiful morning out there. Yes, you have a wonderful day. Be positive, be optimistic, and know that God is your protector and mine. May He bless you. Let's get together again tomorrow morning at 9.